Your potential is limitless with the right mentor. That's the whole philosophy behind the Dunraj Sir method, living the subject. And, it's a perfect way to kick things off. Because today, we're about to be mentored by history itself, learning from one of the most incredible dynasties the world has ever seen. So let's dive in. Today, we're talking about one of India's most powerful and long-lasting dynasties, the Cholas. For centuries, starting way back in the 9th century, they didn't just rule a massive chunk of the Indian peninsula. No, they mastered the seas, creating this incredible maritime empire whose influence was felt all across Asia. The big question is, how did they pull it off? To really understand the Cholas, you have to start with what they left behind. And I mean that literally. Their legacy isn't just a story in some dusty old history book, it's a physical presence you can still see and touch today. It's an absolute testament to their unbelievable power and vision. I mean, just look at this. This is the Brihadeshwara Temple, built by the great king Rajaraja I. Its main tower, the Vimana, soars nearly 200 feet into the sky. And get this, the dome on top is carved from a single 80-ton block of granite. Let that sink in for a second. An 80-ton stone lifted 200 feet in the air 1,000 years ago. When you see something this monumental, you just have to ask, how on earth did a kingdom from southern India build an empire that stretched from the Maldives all the way to the banks of the River Ganga? And maybe more importantly, how did they become this maritime superpower, projecting force all the way into Southeast Asia? Well, to find the answers, we're going to have to become historical detectives. So, how do we know all this stuff? Well, the story of the Cholas is this fantastic piece of historical detective work, pieced together from clues they left for us. Clues etched in some of the most durable materials imaginable. You see, unlike a lot of other ancient civilizations that relied on fragile manuscripts that just crumble to dust over time, the Cholas literally carved their story in stone and hammered it into copper. We have thousands of these inscriptions, which give us this remarkably direct, unfiltered window straight into their world. On one side, you have the temple walls themselves, which basically acted as giant public billboards, a permanent record for everyone to see. And on the other, you have these incredible copper plates. Think of them like official contracts or royal decrees, detailing everything from who got what land to exactly what the king had accomplished. Together, these stone-carved ledgers and copper plate contracts created a permanent record of their entire society. And the level of detail these inscriptions give us is just incredible. It was actually Rajaraja I who started the tradition of listing his own royal achievements at the start of every official record. But they went so much deeper. We learn about everything from land revenue and taxes to criminal judgments. There's even one famous inscription from a village called Uttar Amarur that lays out the super complex rules for local elections. The administrative detail is just astounding. Okay, so with these records as our roadmap, let's look at the two great kings who took this administrative machine and used it to build a true empire, expanding Chola power across both land and sea. It all kicks off with Rajaraja I. He was a brilliant general who locked down power in the south. But, and this is so important, he understood the power of the sea, launching naval expeditions to control those super lucrative trade routes. Then comes his son Rajendra Chola, who was, if you can believe it, even more ambitious. He took his father's empire and just ran with it, annexing all of Sri Lanka before launching two of the boldest campaigns in Indian history. Now, Rajendra's most daring move had to be his massive naval assault on the Srivijaya kingdom that's in modern-day Indonesia. So why'd he do it? Well, Indian merchants trading over there were running into problems. They asked Rajendra for help, and boy did he respond. He sent this huge navy clear across the Indian Ocean, defeated the Srivijaya king, and made sure those trade routes stayed open for business. For that era, this was an absolutely incredible projection of naval power. And to celebrate his other big win, marching his army all the way up to the River Ganga and defeating the king of Bengal, Rajendra took on the epic title Gangayakonda. That means the conqueror of the Ganga. He even built a whole new capital city just to commemorate the victory. He called it, fittingly, Gangayakonda Cholapuram. But here's the thing. The Chola genius wasn't just about winning battles. All that wealth from trade and territory had to be managed. What made their empire so stable and so prosperous was their unbelievably sophisticated and effective system of administration, especially when you look at the local level. And this is what made them so different, so ahead of their time. The Cholas basically pioneered a system of local self-government. Instead of being ruled by some distant government official, villages had a remarkable amount of freedom. They were run by assemblies made up of the villagers themselves, creating this incredibly strong and stable foundation for the whole empire. This system had three main types of assemblies. First, you had the Or, which was kind of the general assembly for all the landowning folks in a village. Then there was the Saba, a more specialized group of Brahmin landowners who often handled temple business and land grants. And finally, in the market towns, you had the Nagaram, an assembly of merchants that basically ran the local economy. Together, these councils handled the day-to-day work of the empire, collecting taxes, settling arguments, managing public works, all from the ground up. So, they were military geniuses, they were administrative wizards, but that's not all. The Cholas were also massive patrons of the arts, leaving behind a legacy of architecture and sculpture that is still absolutely breathtaking today. They perfected what's known as the Dravidian style of temple architecture. This style is all about its massive pyramid-like towers called vimanas, which you can see in temples all across southern India. But these aren't just stone towers. They are giant, three-dimensional canvases, covered from top to bottom in stunning sculptures of gods, goddesses, and incredible mythic stories. And as incredible as their temples were, you could argue their true genius was in metalwork. The Cholas mastered the art of creating these exquisite bronze sculptures, using a lost wax technique to get details and a sense of grace that is just mind-blowing. And this is their masterpiece, the iconic image of Shiva as Nataraja, the Lord of Dance. This single sculpture, with its perfect balance of raw power and delicate grace, of movement and stillness, it has been called the cultural epitome of the entire Chola period. It is a timeless work of art, recognized all over the world. So, what's the big takeaway here? The Cholas built this powerful, centralized empire that could send fleets across an ocean and build temples that touch the sky. And yet, the very foundation of that strength was trusting local communities to govern themselves. It's a fascinating balance, isn't it? And it leaves us with a really important question for our own time. What can we learn from their remarkable blend of centralized ambition and decentralized power?